Okay, start. So encoding. So basically, the sender is called the encoder on encoding. Then we have a message. Then we have a channel. Then we have a receiver. Then we have a feedback and channel and then sender. So sender is basically a decoder or decoding. Receiver is a decoder or decoding. The process is decoding, and the sender is called the encoder. And the process of sending the communication from sender to the receiver is called encoding. So, sender is an encoder, receiver is a decoder. Encoding the message. Then there's that. Okay. So there are two called the noise, and the other is called the barrier, monoregulator. So what are the obstacles to communication? One is noise and one is barrier. Media, decoding, receiver. Response, feedback, and then it goes back to the sender. মাঝখানে যেটা থাকে সেটা হচ্ছে noise, that is called noise. So feedback is very, very important and is also a part of your communication process. So in the communication, we have sender, we have media, we have a receiver, and then we have a feedback. So there are four things: sender or encoder, media through which message passes, decoder, receiver, and feedback. Okay, these are the four important aspects of the communication. So we have this five elements. So one, we have a sender, that is the encoder, receiver, that is the audience, or not only audience, jara shunche tara. Message is the content, and channel is the medium through which we are actually transmitting the communication. So it can be either through written, or it can be through verbal, or it can be through the presentation form. And then finally the feedback. এই যে ফিডব্যাক ইজ বেসিক্যালি আমি যখন জিজ্ঞেস করি যে বুঝতে পারছো তো তোমরা হ্যাঁ স্যার, তো দ্যাট ইজ কল্ড ফিডব্যাক। আরেকজন নাম্বার 6, নীলয় ভট্টাচার্য, নাম বলি মনে রাখো। So can we বুঝতে পেরেছো? Any doubt? Yes, any doubt?
No, sir.
Now, this class may be a little bit tough because এটা actually আমরা পরীক্ষার জন্য করছি। হ্যাঁ, এগুলো প্র্যাকটিক্যালি এগুলো কিছুই লাগে না। এই আমি জানি না how many of you will do MBA. যারা MBA করবে, আমি জানি না কি জেনারেলি কেউ করে না, MBA থেকেই করে। So MBA তে যারা করবে, this is the first chapter which has been taught in MBA. No matter যে কোনো MBA নাও, মার্কেটিং নাও, HR নাও, এটা নাও, সেটা নাও, ফিনান্স নাও, the first chapter from the day one, what is taught is basic communication. And this is actually what has been taught in the first class, day one of MBA class. তোমরা MBA হয়ে যাচ্ছে, ঠিক আছে? Okay, so communications, we again same thing, sender, that's encoder, message, that's channel. So channel can be verbal, channel can be non-verbal also. Verbal হচ্ছে যখন আমরা কথা বলি, non-verbal হচ্ছে the other ways like body language, and receiver is decoder. Now these are the basic 5 things, elements in encoding. That is perception, attitude, belief, experience, and communication ability. And receiver, that is decoder, has the same thing as almost the same thing. Now, message is basically communications we talk about. So what are the communications message? How do we do? It can be either through networking, it can be a downward message, it can be an upward message, it can be a lateral message, and it can be an informal. So we'll see what is downward message, what is upward message, what is lateral message, and what is informal. And finally, then we have this feedback, that is can be now verbal and non-verbal. Verbal হচ্ছে যদি তোমরা বলো যে স্যার আমি বুঝতে পারছি, that is called verbal feedback. আর non-verbal হচ্ছে বিরক্তি ভাবে আমার দিকে তাকানো, মানে not in online, obviously in offline. আমার দিকে তাকিয়ে কি যে বলে কিছু বুঝতে পারলে এটা বিরক্তির ভাব। So that's called the body language through which I can understand that okay, people are, when somebody is not satisfied with whatever I'm trying to say, that becomes a non-verbal clue to move. Okay, done. So far good. Number 10, Dhanraj Dwivedi. Okay. Okay, any doubt? Any doubt? So we have networking, that is through networking also we can do our communications. We also know network marketing. We can do that. What is networking? Network marketing জানো? আমি তোমাকে একটা জিনিস বিক্রি করলাম, তোমার ভালো লাগলো, তুমি আরেকজনকে বিক্রি করলি, সার ভালো লাগলো, আরেকজনকে বিক্রি করলে, এই হবে মানে ইউ ক্যান প্রমোট, দ্যাট ইজ থ্রু নেটওয়ার্কিং। ভাবনা শর্মা কিন্তু বলে দিয়েছিল আমাকে তো। So
Yes, sir. Good morning.
So you know, yeah, morning. So you know what is networking? Network or networking? Yes, networking everybody knows. Any doubt? Any idea what is network? Network or networking? নেটওয়ার্কিং কি বলো আমাকে বোঝাও। এখন 10:30 হয়ে গেছে, এখন তো ঘুমানোর কোনো কথা না। চলো, network is through our network যেগুলো আমরা করি। The network can be also television channel, it can be through media, it can be through press release, it can be through hoarding, glow sign, all those things, it can be through আমি জানি না, আমি আপনি নো, যখন কি নাম লোকটার, যে সুমন কবি সুমন, তাই তো? সুমন চট্টোপাধ্যায় যখন গান করেছিল, অ্যালবামটা বেরিয়েছিল, ওটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি কোনো রকম অ্যাডভার্টাইজমেন্ট, just only through the words of mouth, that is through net, and then we have downward, upward. So we'll see what is downward, which is upward, and all those things. So now we already know that five elements are components of. This is the 5 elements and components of communication. That is sender, receiver, message, channel, and feedback. Verbal, and we have the channel, যেটা আমরা বললাম, cellular and informal. Yeah. So then receiver. So receiver again, we said that the receiver should also have this knowledge of text. The same as the sender, then perception, attitude, belief, and all these things. And finally the feedback. Okay. So let's talk about channel. Let's talk about channel. Okay. So what is channel? Channel is the message, is the means to convey message. Say for example, if I am having a talk show, okay, maybe আমার এখনো দিন হচ্ছে না, মাঝে মাঝে হয়েছে। So say for example, if I'm having a talk show, I want basically about students' future career, how to be steady in a difficult situation, especially situations like this. So now how do I convey my this thing to you that okay, guys who are interested can join. So how do I convey this message? It can be either through WhatsApp or through email or through any other resources which are there. Inform you individually through phone. So these are the called channel through which I'm trying to convey the message that can jump to my speech. Okay. So that is it. Okay. So that's called channel. So we were talking about channels. So we are talking about channel. For immediate feedback, receiver does not understand, reluctant to understand the message, verbal, oral communication to document. So these are basically, you can go through it, it's not important. So channel can be downward, channel can be upward, channel can be horizontal, that's lateral, and channel can be informal. Downward is basically superior to the subordinate. So what are the types of downward communications? To give job instruction, information about procedures and practice, understanding of work, feedback on performance, sense of mission. Every link in this communication opens up with chances of an error. So that's called the and either noise or an error. And we have an upward subordinates to superior, learning about problems and roadblocks, information about employees' attitude and perception, and encourage upward communications where the subordinates decide. So these are the drawbacks. The last which you see is basically the drawbacks. Horizontally and laterally basically peer-to-peer. For example, if you are communicating with your classmates, that's called horizontal or lateral communications. Peer-to-peer, coordinations of tasks, sharing of information, problem solving, conflict resolutions, and features. Feature means, what is feature? Any guess? Any idea what is feature? Feature is basically trying to explain to each other. First of all, what is your job role? Number one. Number two is your little bit of back. So that's basically some sort of an you can say some sort of an informal communications which we to some extent have. Okay. Informal informations are called grapevine. The other word of informal information is grapevine. Informal information is something which is not formal. For example, আমরা অনেক বলি না আরে জানিস তো স্যার এরকম হয়েছে স্যারের এই হয়েছে ওইসব যেগুলো আমরা নিজেদের মধ্যে বলি which is actually not formal. That is, there is no what you call validity or proof of that. Okay. So in order to eliminate such information, companies minimize its importance of process. Now, this research shows that 70 to 80% of the information is accurate. I'll give you an instance in my office when I was in Delhi. We were hearing that আমাদের যে boss ছিল Vishal Mathur is going to leave actually. He's going to leave and join Samsung. But অনেকদিন ধরে চলছিল তো so nobody had the courage to go and speak to him and ask him actually. So generally whatever communications we have with our boss after 6 o'clock in the evening is basically informal communications. So then nobody actually wanted to bell the cat. So we after 6 o'clock we saw Vishal standing there walking in his seat, and so we had this cubicles. Okay, so we don't have any separate chambers for the GMs or not, except the CEO. So there's only a cubicles which are there and just walking. That's why the cubicles are made so that people can easily walk in. Because if you have a chamber, then you need to knock and say, sir, so that becomes more of a formal. So somebody was sitting in the cubicle and then somebody had to tell the cat. So I took the responsibility and said, अरे सुनाई नहीं दे रहा सर, आप छोड़ रहे हो, आप ना सेंसिंग से ऑफ करता है. So he said, कौन बोला? Who said? I said, it's a talk of the town, boss. क्या बात कर रहे हो? Everybody knows. So ऐसा है क्या? हाँ, okay. And then he said, clarified, yes, it's up to some extent. Yes, I did get offer, but I've already rejected. So that's sort of information which are basically called grapevine. Now, grapevine information has got nothing to do with the company's policy or company's day-to-day activity or anything. It can be grapevine or inform can be anything. Okay, but just go through this. I'll come within 30 seconds. Just go through this and then I will go to, we'll see this downward, upward, horizontal. Okay. So if you have any doubt or ambiguity, please ask me. That's the things which are going to come for your exams. Now, God forbid, I again repeat, God forbid, if it is an offline examination, then God save me. So, I should be careful. Okay? Got it? Online, so you can manage.
Yes, sir.
But offline, like to chop much. So, it's better to understand the subject right now, so that at least we can score, then at least attempt at least to 60%, at least 70%. So 70% should be correct. That's what it means. I will answers questions. I will discuss with people now. So let's start. Let's talk some sort of a lean structure of an organization where you have the head CEO, and then we have finance department, we have operation department, production department, and the marketing department. Everybody can see this: finance, operation, production, and marketing. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if the CEO is communicating with his operation manager, that is called vertical or downward. And if the that is operation head is communicating to the CEO, that is called upward. Okay. Okay. So this is called downward. If you see the arrow, upper take niche and then niche take upper. Now, if the finance head, that is CFO, is actually reporting to operation head, this is basically called horizontally or laterally. This is called lateral. Now, or maybe if the finance manager is communicating with the operation manager, so same hierarchy that we communicate with each other. That is called horizontally or laterally. Okay, understood. Now, if the finance manager is trying to communicate with COO, that is the operation. So these are cross, that is called crosswise or diagonal. Okay. So this is called diagonal or crosswise communication. Correct? So interdepartment and hierarchies are not same. That is, one is the CEO. I'm sure you understand what is CEO, CPU, and CMO and CFO. Any idea? Any guess? Yes? Any idea? CEO is Chief Financial Officer. CEO is Chief Operation Officer. Production CPO is Chief Production Officer, and CMO Chief Marketing. These are very higher level positions. They are heavily paid. That is huge amount. Anyway, so this is how this is what is called vertical, horizontal, and crosswise or diagonal. Now, spiral communication is basically when CEO is actually communicating to each and everybody in the organization, then this is called spiral communication. Now, this spiral communication is generally maybe something to do with your company's policies or change in company's policies, or maybe some additional bonus or incentives and all those things, or maybe he's announcing with somebody who has actually excelled his performance. So these are actually called spiral communication. That is, this comes from the head of the department and it goes to each and every person who is there in the organization. So this is something what we call about the vertical, upward, downward, horizontally, clockwise, or diagonal, and spiral. Any doubt? Yes?
No, sir.
Let's come to barriers of communications. Okay. Now, this barriers to communication is something to do with decoder. So, decoder is who? Decoder is somebody who is receiving, who's a receiver of the message. Okay. Now, problem caused by the sender. So, one of the first barriers of the decoder or the receiver is problem caused by the sender. The sender is an encoder who handles the communication task. Too much knowledge about the subject can also be a problem. So what should be included in my answer? I haven't learned. What should be included and what should be left out depends solely upon the sender. So order of presentation, then lack of familiarity with the audience. So if I do not know who is the audience, now I should not start my communication slide or maybe presentation with something which I do with the corporate classes. Okay, so which I do with the corporate people. So I cannot do that thing because 50% of the things you may not understand. So that is what it is. Then lack of experience in speaking and writing can be also one of the problems. And so then we have problem in message transmission when a verbal message is transmitted to 3 or 4 different people before reaching the final destination. So if 4 and 5, so if I say for example, if I am receiving the message from 4 or 5 different sources, then probably obviously this will be a problem. Then the problem in reception, that is when you are receiving the message. So there are 3 problems which may happen. Please note this, that is physical noise, that is external noise that distracts communication. Then external noise, that is overcrowding, smell or something. And then psychological noise, that is so when receivers, the receiver, the person who is who is in the receiving part, his idea, knowledge, or maybe something slightly higher than what the sender is sending. So probably there can be some sort of an ego problem, or maybe defensive, or maybe he can be hostile. That is, he can keep shut and say, something like that. So that is basically is called about the psychological noise.
So it's a physiological noise, no?
Sorry, physiological noise. Okay. Physiological noise. Physiological. Physiological noise. So there are 3 noises which are there: physical noise, external noise, and the physiological noise. Okay, got it? So please remember this. This may also come. Okay, end out?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, problem in receiver's comprehension, that is understanding of some words or entire message, which is called semantic, which is called SEMANTIC, semantic problem. Please remember this, questions are asked. Semantic problem is how you frame or structure your words and sentences. If your structuring of words and sentences are not proper or not appropriate, the receiver will have a different notions or views or ideas about what you are trying to say. Okay. Then you have personal interest. So if I have a personal interest, so for example, if right now what I'm trying to hear, now there may be some who said, yeah, that's lovely. So my personal interest, as long as things which are which will come in the exams, so the orally version. Rest of the things I may not listen or I will not listen. So that's called the personal interest. Okay, done. Any questions? Okay. Then dealing with communication barrier. This is from the sender's side. Okay. So that is the encoder's side. So what are the problems? Know your subject. So if you are trying to speak out, please know your subject. Because a lot of questions and queries are going to come up. So you need to know your subject. Specific details and clear instructions. Message to be conveyed and material selections. So if I am trying, so for example, what mode is I am now, in which mode am I actually communicating through you? I am communicating through you through a presentation, right? So some written as well as verbal. So both are simultaneously. So I'm using the both medium. That is written. I mean that's the presentation format as well as the verbal. And again, too much information is also something which is also some sort of a barrier. Okay. So, for example, what I'm trying to do out here is I'm very specific, and I'm trying to give you information which is only related to what should come in the exams. The rest are the things I am eliminating. Okay. So that is what we could talk about. Selections of material and then clear instructions. Then focus on purpose. So what is my purpose? Say for example, if I am asking, if I'm talking about this class today, today's class, only today's class. So my purpose is to make you people understand that these are the things which are going to come for the exams. So be prepared, and nothing will come beyond this. Okay. So the amount of information which I'm trying to give you is very specific and it's very brief. I don't want you to go through the entire subject of communication, which there are at least 100 slides. I have 5 or 6 slides of communications. That is not relevant, particularly right now. So I'm trying to give you information which is perfectly matches with your subject table, that is your examination semester soft skill. So we will see that when we will solve one paper right now. So know your audience and then be organized, obviously. Knowledge and know your subject. That's knowledge about your subject. That's more or less, this is actually same. The first and the last one is same. So what you can do is you can say that this is the 4 barriers. So what are the 4 barriers of communication from the sender side encoder? These are the 4 barriers. These are the questions. Right? Got it? Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Yes. Good. Importance of communications helps to generate trust between the sender and the client and the receiver. So client and the receiver. It is the foundational relationship between the sender and other members of the team. It is vital for decision making purpose, and communication provides the basis of leadership actions. So these are the basics, the importance of communication. Feedback is the main component of a communication process, and it permits the sender to analyze the efficacy of the message, that is the efficiency of the message or the understanding of the message. That's what it means by efficacy. It helps the sender in confirming the correct interpretation of a message by the decoder. Okay. This is something to do. Okay, let's come to this. There's something also called environmental message. Now, can you tell me where does it come? In which process? Environmental barrier is basically will come from which side? From the receiver side, and this will come under physical noise. Got it? Yes?
Yes, sir.
So that will be a physical noise. So please note this. Environmental problem can be from the receiver, then it will come under physical noise. Okay? Yes, got it?
Yes, sir.
Models of communication, this is just for your information, nothing much to know about. Shannon Weber's mathematical model 1949. So we have this, the same, almost same thing. There's no much difference in it. Only difference is basically about it consists of 5 elements, the same thing which was there in the basic model of communication. But here is something called, he has said, he has actually, instead of sender, decoder and all, what he has said, because 1949 you can understand that encoder, decoder is what comes to Pasini. So that's basically, he talks about the information source, and then the transmitter, that is the message into signals, and then the channel, and the receiver, and the destination. Now, here there's one more addition to it. That is, what he has done is he has removed this feedback, and he is talking about something called destination, which is a new terminology. That is, destination is obviously when I get an information, I need to pass on to somebody else. So that's the final destination where it goes. He's talking about that. This is the only difference between Shannon Weaver's 1949 model. There are 3 levels of problems of communications. That is technical problem, semantic problem. Now, Shannon Weaver is somebody who has actually discovered this. That is how precisely is the meaning covered. So, how words are used, how constructions and the formations of sentences are being used. Okay? And the effectiveness of the problem. So these are the 3 levels of problems with Shannon Weaver. The 4 P's of communication is position, problem, possibilities, and purpose. This is also the 4 S. This is also sometimes there's something called 4 S's of communication. And the 7 C's of communications is basically clear, concise, complete, correct, convincing, courteous, and connectivity. Right? So we have the 4 P's and 7 C's of the communication. Right? Got it? So this is the first part of the communication. Let's move on to the second part, which I have done already, but we will do it again because Taj है Porikha, so it's better we do it. So following is the effective communication fundamentals. Stanford University 2017. Empathy, conversational skills, established listening and speaking procedures, respectful vocabulary, the power of pause, practice speaking and listening in natural settings, introspections, and taking. Anything which you do not understand? Yes, no, yes. Got it? And it please ask her if you don't understand. So respectful vocabulary is here which we just now have gone through. That semantic problem with the word. This comes under semantic problem. Okay. So anything else which you introspections is basically say if I am trying to say something, you should try to do an introspection. You should try to understand and look back and see what you understood and what you did not understand. What you understand and what you did not understand. So your job is in the next class probably you can come back and say, sir, Kami eta puchini. So this is called introspection. Okay. Turn taking is basically when you take your turn to have a two-way communication. So always remember communication is basically two-way. Okay. So that is there can be one people, there can be two people, but there can be multiple number of people. But so for example, here we have how many people? We have so about 658 people or 68 people. Nayan or somebody, please take the attendance. Please take the attendance now. Attendance on any party people.
Sir, Ritom man.
রিদম আছে কি?
ওই জানি।
রিদম নেই,
তাহলে আগমনী নেবে।
আগমনী নেই, কেউ একটা নিয়ে নাও না আজকের জন্য। আজকে রিতম মনে হয় না, যে থাকে তো ভালো।
আচ্ছা আমি নিয়ে নিচ্ছি।
বা দিয়াশাও নিয়ে নিতে পারে। এনিবডি হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে, এনিবডি। সো ক্লিয়ার, কনসাইজ, কমপ্লিট। সরি So turn taking is basically when I take my turn to pause and then listen and then understand. We have 68 people out here. I need to listen to each and everybody. And I need to clarify each and everybody's thoughts. So that's called turn taking. And when you are going to speak out to me, obviously you have that's something called turn taking. So if you speak together, সবাই মিলে যদি একসাথে কথা বলো, then I would not be able to solve or clarify your doubts. So one by one you can speak. So that is what it's called, something to do with turn taking, right? Yes. Any doubt?
No, sir.
So now this is the main thing which I'm supposed to. Proximus, kinesis, paralanguage, chronemics, the large. Paralanguage is basically different types of sign language which we use. Like okay, something like that. So these are some of, this is what smile, ha ha ha, it was good one. These are basically called paralanguage. Okay. So gasp, sigh, clear our throats, change our tone, whisper, shout, emphasize certain words, wave our hands, frown or smile, laugh, cry, string vocal identifiers like okay, these are called paralanguage signs. Okay? Correct? Yes. Proximus is basically talking about the distance. Okay. So if we talk about Proximus, basically how many types of we have? We basically have intimate space, that is 1.5 feet, personal space, that is personal space, that is 4 feet, social space, that is 12 feet, and the public space, that is 25 feet. So this is basically, so what is Proximus is basically the distance we are talking about. How, what is the physical distance between the person who is speaking or the sender and the receiver. So that's called the proximus. Okay? Got it? So proximus talks about the physical distance. Kinesis talks about the body language, that is the body's physical movement. Okay? So there are three things, please understand. Proximus talks about the distance. Kinesis talks about the body language, physical movement of the body. And paralanguage basically talks about your articulations, your different physical signs which you do. That is different types of called this part of body language, but slightly different from kinesis. Kinesis is entirely about the body language. Paralanguage is basically about your voice, throat, all these things. Okay? What I have shown you already, this is kinesis, that's an example of like, yes? Hello?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is some of the example of kinesis, that is see how he is holding his fingers in the ring shape. And so this is basically, this is called kinesis, the body language. And this is entirely the body language. And paralanguage is something to do with your articulations, vocal, and different types of sounds which we make, apart from words. Okay. Then these are indexes in this picture. Head is tilted, both palms are open, both a sign of openness. then this is sign of okay, that person does not know what so if I do like this, then I say okay, I don't understand what you're trying to say. Would you repeat, please? Something like that. So we can do this when we are in the class. When we have an offline class, we can practice this. And arm crossed on chest, head is down, both sign of sincerity and innocence. The palm is closed into the fist and the pointed fingers. This is a sign of authority and superiority. So basically, the different types of body language which we exhibit. I'm sure everybody has got their own body language. Okay. Right? So paralinguistic features are non-verbal cues that helps you to give urgency to your note. Your voice is your trademark. It's a part of yourself that adds human touch to your words. Writing down does not immediately nearness because the words are standing on a page. Voice gives extra life to your delivery. Therefore, you may find it level to understand the characteristics. So basically, paralinguistics are also something to do with the quality of your tone, that's volume, rate, pitch. Rate is the speed in which you are delivering the speech. They are delivering the a rate at which you are delivering your speech. That is the speed at which you are delivering your speech. Pitch, that is your ups and downs. Okay, articulations, how clearly you actually frame and speak out your words. Pronunciation definitely, and माजे pauses. ठीक है? This is something to do with math. This is paralanguage. So, something to do with your body language. So we have done body language, we have done verbal. Now let's come to support things. And I cannot take decisions. So on the Jonovan decision, it is actually aim of the Republic they got. It is by the people, of the people, for the people, and to the people. So Jonovan what you can question Jonovan if you will ছেড়ে দাও ছেড়ে দাও. Good. Next. Jonovan কি ছেড়ে দেওয়া হবে নাকি? And so when we are speaking, vocal words contain 7%, vocal element contains 38%, and non-verbal contains 55%. So what is actually the non-verbal part of it? The answer to the question will be, how much will be the non-verbal part of it? Follow. How much will be the non-verbal part of your communication? I mean, I'm talking about vocal communication, the media speaking. How much will be your non-verbal part? Vocal elements comes under paralanguage. And this comes under kinesis and proximus. Mainly kinesis. So what will be the percentage of non-verbal communication in a communication process? This is a question which is there. You want it asked me as well. What's the topic? Answer was it. I'm asking something. What will be the percentage of non-verbal communication in a communication process? What? The answer is 100%. Yes, you know.
Sir, 55.
देखिए आती बोल total non-verbal, huh? Total non-verbal. Paralanguage, kinesis, proximus, optic. They want to take a look. Words are 7%. Well, Bhavna Sharma, tell me, how much is it? Rajnath, tell me, how much will be the non-verbal part of it? Hello. Hello. Anybody can can speak of it. Otherwise, what is the person the non-verbal part of your communication process? Yes?
So 55.
Anybody else? Paralanguage, kinesis and proximus comes under non-verbal communication. Vocal element is basically paralanguage. So it comes under non-verbal.
So 93%.
Exactly, 93%, because this comes under paralanguage. So paralanguage also comes under non-verbal communication. Actually, it is 93%. Perfect. Yes, right. These are the 4 W's of communications. Who, just who, what, why, which, and when. This is the 4 T's of communication. Tell, and what do you want them to. Then it will 4 P's बोले दीजिए, 7 C's बोले दीजिए. So this is what you should understand. 7 P's, 4 P's, and all this. 7 habits of effective communicators are keep it simple. Use anecdotes and analogy. If you can take a screenshot of this may come. This actually will come in your reports. Use different channels for impact. Repeat key messages. Use personal touch. Explicitly addresses inconsistency. Listen and be listened to. Articulations is basically it of them for this not so important. So this is basically something to do with here. How to improve your communication skills? Make it easy for people to remember what you are telling them. Proactive listening also comes under communication. Prepare your intent, skip the jargons, real body language, connect emotionally, listen to people with talk so people will listen, and speak to group as individual. These are the 8 secrets of it. Okay. And if we talk about effective communications, we talk about effective communication skills. So brainstorming is also part of the effective communication skills. Brainstorming is a part of the effective communication skills. Remember this. And then the RTS. Okay. Okay. This one. Generally, in a broader sense, if you talk about report, so this is a basic format of a report. Reducing travel and entertainment costs prepared for the board of directors. The Trident Industries prepared by Andrew Rosario, January 25th, 2022. Memorandum is basically the briefing of the intent. That is the basic. Then you have content, that is short there is a content in it. And executive summary. Now this is very important. Questions asked about. So what is this executive summary? Now this report is basically for the board of directors. So executive summary is basically now board of directors will not have time to go through your 100-page report. So executive summary is basically the brief content. Kiki ashe report is straight at you. This is called executive summary. Alright. Then I'm just going to skip it. And finally, the conclusion recommendations. I'm not going to the details of it. Just remember this executive summary. So executive summary is basically remember that the board of directors do not have time to go through the entire report. So this executive summary will give them some brief layout of what this report is all about and the usefulness of the report. So in this executive summary, we have the reason for it. What is it that report talks about? That is, report talks about the travel and entertainment cost at high. Then what is important? Cuts are important. That is, we have to reduce the cost, and then the cost impact. That is, how much save. That is, how company's profitability if we actually save this. Okay, that's it. Memos are basically internal communications between the office and mode. So it can be handwritten, it can be typed. Generally handwritten, of typed one through mail. The reasons for using memos are convenient, easily takes less time to write, and written records. This is an example of a memo to January 8th, then to Mr. Mr. Manish from Vijay Sai, Senior Manager, subject requisitions of office stationery. One office stationery like stapler pins, ruler, pen, pencil, all this thing. So recommend the following items for office usage. The following are the monthly requisites for our department. So one, it can be maybe it can be 10, 11 or 20 or so. Kindly actually understand the metric at the earliest. You let me know for any further query or so no sign, nothing is required. I have already written because the person who is sending has already written his name. So nothing much required except that. Yeah. Right? Am I there? Correct? Yes. Yes. Walk-in interview is what? What is now? This was not in your this but still let me see. What is walk-in interview? So where you need to walk a lot? No, not at all, obviously.
Sir, option C.
No. Walk-in interview basically. Oh, Rita Vache, okay. Rita is there. Oh, I thought he's not there. Anyway, thank you, Rita. Walk-in interviews basically where you need to walk a lot. None of these are test of ability to walk. Now, walk-in interviews basically where there is no appointment schedules or no, there's no interview schedules. Okay, you can just go and walk in and give your interview. So that is basically actually conducted in a job fair. Which of the following is not an example of internal communication? Well, you have to give answers. Internal communication is basically we have just now done. We have done what is internal communications, and then internal communications we have downward, upward, all those things, lateral. So now tell me, based upon whatever we have done, so which of the following is not an example of internal communication?
Option C.
Yes. Placing an order with the supplier is not an example of internal communication. Good. Next. Communication establishes and builds lasting relationship between people. Two-way, all the above, one-way, three-way.
All the two-way.
Anybody else have any answers?
The two-way, all the above.
Keyboard two-way? Anybody else? Anybody else has any other answers? It is actually two-way because communication we have to. I mean, we have done this.
স্যার আমি টু ওয়ে বললাম তো।
So answer is actually the right answer is two-way because we take the whole group as one. So it's basically a two-way communication. In fact, I mentioned also that it is actually a two-way communication. No matter how many people are there, it has to be taken because we take the whole group as one and we the sender as one. So it is basically the two-way communication. Circulars are to declare holidays. Circulars or inter-office memos. So same thing. So tell me. Circulars or inter-office memos are same thing. So questions are very slightly tricky and not so easy to write. Yeah. Hello, কি হবে? আরে এগুলো আমি সলভ করছি এরকমই আসবে সব কোয়েশ্চেন ঘুরিয়ে পেয়েছি হ্যাঁ কি হবে এই যে ইসি আলফা ফার্স্ট ইয়ার আনসার তো দেখি এইমাত্র খুললাম তো ইন্টার অফিস মেমো
A kind of general notice.
Yes, it's a kind of general. Very good. What was later?
Some Ankita.
Good. Kind of general. Next one. A business letter should be. See, a business letter should be. We have done email communication, so you can correlate with that. So it's the same thing. So a business letter should be. Remember, we had followed that procedure. KISS. Keep it short, straight, and simple.
Yes, sir.
So that is it. Same thing applies here also. Email communications and business is the same. So what will be? What will you have it? What will be talking?
Sir, all of the above.
Yes, good. All of the above. Good. Yeah. I said 4 P's and 4 S's are same. Whatever. Same at the
7-4.
7-4, yes, exactly. 7-4. Aim at the corona. What is happening to you? Raj now. क्या हो रहा है तुमको? सो गया क्या फिर से कंबल के अंदर? राज. After hearing Raj, Simran and Raj. Okay, anyway. The most appropriate style of delivering a conference paper is, I don't know whether you will understand. So this is basically, let me tell you the answer. This will be a conversation. So যখন আমরা কনফারেন্স পেপারে যাই, we have the whole thing in front of us, মানে পুরো ব্যাপারটা থাকে আমাদের কাছে। So আমরা সেটা মোটামুটি basically it's some sort of a reading style, but then it's basically a conversation style. Next one. Which of the following is not an element of non-verbal communication?
Name of the speaker.
Name of the
Good. Good. Which are the principles of effective communication? Clarity of objects, all the above, selections of media, feedback. Yes.
all the above.
Yes, all the above. Good. Clarity of object is required. Selections of media is required, and feedback is definitely all the above. Good. Next. এটা করেছেন
The number of people in the audience.
Yes, the number of people in the audience is not important in an oral book. This one, proximus is a study of dash in term. এটা যদি কেউ বলতে না পারে না, এবার আমি কি করবো? এবার আমি এখন তার বাড়িতে গিয়ে আমি তাকে উদ্ঘোষ করবো আন্দোলন।
Body language.
Body language.
কে বললো বডি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ শুনি? জাস্ট জিজ্ঞেস করতে।
Sir, distance. Sir, distance হবে, distance.
বডি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ কে বললো?
Distance. Body
আগে বলো, কে বললো শুনি? কে বললো? দুজন বলেছে। কে? দিয়াশা। আরেকজন?
আমার মনে হলো হুট করে আমি বলে দিলাম।
আরেকজন কে বললো? ছেলেটা নয়ন কি এটা? বডি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ ধরে না কান ধরে উঠুস করো। এই মাত্র করো। প্রক্সিমিটি ইজ বেসিক্যালি ডিসটেন্স।
আমি বললাম এটা।
হ্যাঁ, এবার তোমাকে না পরে খেলাবো এবারে। চন্দননগরের ঘাটে ফেলে দেবো। ডিস্টেন্স হবে, ডিস্টেন্স। এই মাত্র করলাম আমি এটা। This is just something. The word untoward means, now this is something to do with English, okay? So let's see, how many of you know English?
Sir, unpleasant.
Yes. Very good. Which of this is a technical word for slanting? Slanting মানে জানো তো, everybody knows slanting মানে bend, একটুখানি ধরো লম্বা আছে, bend করতে slanting.
Tilting.
Exactly. Who said this? Very good. Excellent.
Annesha.
Very good. Anisha, good. Tilting. It's actually tilting. This is very simple. In an interview, you should
Look smart and professional.
very good. No word. Okay, now this one. The first thing we started today. Communicare is dash word.
Indian.
Anybody else?
The Latin.
Anybody else?
German.
हाँ बोले यार. तापर French. Can you argue that somebody says French? It's actually
French.
Latin. It's actually Latin, right? It's Latin. It's Latin. Good. Common expectation of a guest is. This is a very common question.
All of you. Sorry, warm welcome.
Warm welcome. Yes, exactly. Warm welcome is something. তুমি কি করে সবগুলো আনসার দিচ্ছ? তুমি কি তোমার কোনো বন্ধু আছে বিটাতে?
হ্যাঁ?
বিটাতে?
না স্যার, হ্যাঁ বিটারে তো বন্ধু আছে। কেন?
No, ঠিক আছে, carry on. While preparing for the resume, the first one you should write. I don't know how many of you know this, but let's see if you can. এটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি অবজেক্টিভ হবে। আমরা করাইনি, এটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি তোমাদের সেকেন্ড ইয়ারে আছে। স্টিল বলে দিই, মাঝে মাঝে একটু এরকম আসবে যে
Colorful adjectives that describes you as a person.
which acha no, I know 17 is objective and D. 17 is D. 17 is D. Number now 18. Which type of words are most important to include in your resume? As much as use as possible of verbs to be colorful adjectives that describes you as a person. Multisyllabic word that makes you
Action verbs and job specific words.
Exactly, very good. Exactly, yeah. Exactly. Action verbs and job specific words are the right answer. The tone of the sales letter should be
straightforward.
No. আচ্ছা যাই না আমি বললো দিকে আর কি বলে একটা একটা করে বলতে অপশন
No, persuasive.
Exactly, very good. Persuasive. Because straightforward এটা হবে না। তুমি জানো তোমার এই ঠান্ডা ঠান্ডা কুল মাথায় মাখলেই সর্দি কাশি জ্বর হবে, সেখানে তুমি স্ট্রেট ফরওয়ার্ড হোক কেউ কিনবে না। ঠিক আছে, পারসুয়েসিভ। you have to say what is the advantage of putting this Navratna cold oil. Because maximum लोग जरा लगी अगर ठंडा लेके जो है so if you are so straightforward, then nobody is going to buy it. So it has to be pursued. Good. Next, what are the two types of noise in a communication channel? This is
Natural and man-made.
Anybody else?
External and internal.
Exactly. So natural and man-made will come under this external and internal. What is the last? Now, in case if it is not there, external and internal, then you can put natural noise and man-made noise. Okay. In case if it is not there, if in case the option is not there, external and internal, but sometimes because on it was there, they put it external and external noise. Okay. So in that case, you have to select natural noise. So natural noise is basically natural noise would be basically this external noise, and man-made noise is basically this is also external noise. The internal noise is basically something which comes from inside from you, like you're nervous, you are pushing, what else be at this. So this is the internal and internal. Okay. Next one.
So responding.
Very good. 22. Semantics is the study of
How words convey meaning.
good. Next one. 4S affective communication does not include
Structure.
no.
Shortness.
Yeah, shortness. Right. What are the principles of effective communication? এটা বলো না একবার এটা বলো
Yes, sir. All the above. Yes, sir.
A break in the communication process is known as A to B. Read this to me. A to B follow it.
Recess.
That's sure. I will just give 1 minute. That's not the word. Well, yes. Now tell me.
So recess. Okay.
Anybody else has got any other answer?
Noise.
বলে যাও আর কে কি বলছে শুনি Recess is basically taking a break. So recess problem.
Fault.
No. So it is actually noise. Somebody who said noise is right. Noise is the called the system. Next. Oh no. Sorry. 1 minute. A break is the word. No? It will be recess. Right. Break is the word. It's a recess, right? I'm sorry. Right. So break বলছে barrier হলে তাহলে ওটা হতো noise. Now break বলছে to be recess, right? Very good. Next.
Horizontal communication.
Yeah, lateral or horizontal communication. Good. Next.
এটা একবার হয়ে গেছে মনে একটা স্পিক করছিল
Okay. এটা করেছি কিন্তু
D. Option D.
Yes, very good. Yes, perfect. Next.
Shock.
এটা হয়ে গেছে রিপিট আছে এটা হয়ে গেছে while making a call you should and these are very common questions.
Tell your name and company name.
Okay, good. Next one. এটা also হয়ে গেল Proximus.
এটা একবার হয়ে গেছে
नहीं क्यों पूछेंगे नहीं Proximus के राज ना tell me what is Proximus मुझे ना घुमाते कहीं yes Rajnath tell me ये क्या होगा आंसर ঘুমাচ্ছে ওরা
রাজনাথ নেই স্যার এক্ষুনি তো লেফট দেখালো
হ্যাঁ ও অ্যাকচুয়ালি খালি অ্যাক্টিভ থাকে যখন ছ্যাবলামি হয় গ্রুপে তখন ক্লাসে ও ইয়ে করে ক্লাসে ও ঘুমায় সরি বন্ধ করে দিলাম হ্যাঁ ইয়েস ওকে
লো ভয়েস
না this is very common
কনস্ট্যান্ট
which of this can be used to break the monotonous speech মানে হচ্ছে আমি কন্টিনিউয়াসলি বলতে যাই তো you will get bored মাঝে মাঝে আমি অনেক কিছু বলি না ধরেন I pull leg of lion or anybody
হিউমার হবে
exactly humor is the correct answer perfect so got it so you know what are the types of questions which will come for you so are you ready to dock
স্যার
so are you ready to dock choose the correct alternatives of the following number 1 and I follow अभी क्या भावना yes first one audition
सर क्रिस क्रॉस कम्युनिकेशन होता है
what yeah let's see anybody else wants
ग्रेट पॉइंट
anybody else yes it's right grapevine এইমাত্র পড়ালাম আমি how can you say crisscross because just পড়ালাম আমি gossips and rumors cannot crisscross crisscross is basically spiral communication no next one
informative
good next one Aristotle's model is a classical example আমি বলেছিলাম I told you when I was talking about it. আমি বলেছিলাম কিন্তু
two way
one way Aristotle probably is only one way I told you it when I was talking about it. Communication is
all of these
no when we talk about communication
শেয়ারিং অফ ইনফরমেশন আইডিয়াস
exactly chatting is all ভুলভাল chatting হয় আমাদের কোন সব ভালো chatting হয় tell me when you chat anything informative we discuss chat खाली बोली अरे मेरे को इधर जाना है I have to go there I have to buy this is exactly what is chatting also encoder is the other name of a
সেন্ডার
রিসিভার স্যার
হ্যাঁ রিসিভারই মনে হচ্ছে ডিকোডার স্যার সেন্ডার
receiver
সেন্ডার হবে
sender exactly
Sender.
sender is the encoder इसे बार-बार बोलना sender is the encoder decoder is the receiver যেটা decode করছে that's the receiver yes please remember sender is the encoder and receiver is the decoder next
sir body language
this was body language actually you're right body language
a semantic barrier
সাইকোলজিক্যাল
yeah actually individual barrier is not semantic it can be semantic but it's actually the main is psycho and sociological barrier yes Next one. Before put the time in, so that's basically a barrier. Yes. Next one.
93%.
93%.
Good. Next one.
Pitch of voice.
Pitch of voice as well as visual signs and facial, all three actually. All the three are paralanguage, facial expressions, pitch of, not face, sorry. Pitch of the voice and visual signs. Or let's take it pitch of the voice. Pitch of the following intellectuals. And okay, one pitch of the voice. Yeah, okay.